everybody, it's Romania Black, and it's freezing cold outside. It's so cold today. There's a blizzard outside. It feels like a great day to react to videos, and Trigun StarGaze episode 3 has come out, so I'm super excited about it. So yeah, here we are. Now, I have a couple comments before we start episode 3. Vash, aka Eric's, is with Jessica, and we've just sadly lost Hoppard, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. And meanwhile, Meryl has committed, she's just ran over Wolfwood, so there's that. And Millie's not going to tell on her, so it'll be all right. But I don't know exactly what we're going to do this episode. We're going to see, but this is kind of unusual. I have 3 comments from episodes 1 and episode 2, but 2 of those comments kind of have manga spoilery things involved. So I'm going to save those 2 comments until the spoiler corner in the discussion, because that seems like the best place to put those. But as far as the rest of the comments go, I want to talk about Sunspot's comment for episode 2 before we dive in and get started with this, because they had a really very eloquently worded comment that I feel like we should all have the chance to listen to. So they did point out this, before we talk about Hoppard, they had some really eloquent words about Hoppard, but I was not going crazy, and last week we recorded history, y'all, because listen to this. Sunspot says, regarding the OP, yes, you are correct, and I saw the same, more static OP last weekend. There were some comparisons posted online that showed the episode that aired in Japan with the same OP as episode 1, and speculation had occurred that Crunchyroll had an older file or something, but I've not seen any official confirmations. Though, as of writing this comment, I checked episode 2 again, and now it has the same OP as episode 1 on Crunchyroll. So it was probably just a mistake, which has been corrected. I feel like this is a moment similar to when my best friend and we saw Cats in 2019. Yes, we watched the CGI live action Cats movie. It caused COVID. I could go on a tangent about it, but the version that we saw in theaters on December 31st, 2019, was the version that the special effects had not been completed for. And so, yes, I did see Dame Judi Dench's purple toenails on the big screen. I was like, what is happening? So, yeah, I'm going to chalk it up that if we go back to the reaction now, we have recorded history. We have recorded history of an old Crunchyroll file that they did not get. I kind of think that's interesting, though, because it shows that there's a process of, oh, here's a sample OP. It's not fully done, but here's an OP you can look at. And now the OP is done. The showing of different phases of things fascinates me, so that's kind of cool. Hopefully we'll have the right OP for this episode, Crunchyroll. But anyway, so I thought that was really interesting, but they also had some really good words about Hoppard that they wanted to point out to us. They said, I adore the way that Hoppard's identity gets so tangled up. We see it tighten and unravel multiple times. I really love that. There are so many layers of guilt, longing, protectiveness, punishment, anger, fear, coercion, redemption, atonement. A beautiful tapestry. I think in Hoppard eyes, Vash was simultaneously a replacement for Eric's, a reminder, a wound, an object of yearning. It's not just for Eric's or Vash, or even for the time that Hoppard had with Eric's. There's this beautiful paradox at the heart of Hoppard's fury. He wants to punish Vash for surviving what Eric's did not, but also to force him to deserve being alive. He doesn't want Vash to waste the life that Eric's lost. If Hoppard's cruelty in this moment, such as threatening Jessica, forcing a suicide by Vash, etc., can save someone later, then maybe Eric's didn't die for nothing. Definitely not the exposure therapy approach, yes. In the end, Vash putting on Eric's shawl, and I did not realize it was Eric's shawl. Maybe I talked about the discussion, but it didn't click to me, as both the red of Vash's coat, but also the memory of Eric's, as a result of Hoppard's care, was also moving to me. Literally taking on the burden of suffering. I was really curious where the tagline of Live to Suffer was going to go, and this was such a complex surprise. Yeah! I don't think we're done with that tagline. If you've read Maximum, I don't think we're done with that tagline at all. I thought that was so really well worded, but I'm going to tell you, this paragraph here, and then we'll get started, says, and on the top of all of that, there's the moment Vash says Rim's name to Hoppard when he caught and held his hand. I know he's directly addressing his memory of Rim with the line, would everything have been better if I'd never existed? But I think it's also Vash saying, thank you for letting me be your Eric's so you could be my Rim. When was I ever shipping Hoppard and Vash? Never until this series. Focusing on Hoppard in 2026 is such a wild time. I'm just like, what? What? It's so crazy. But thank you, Sunspots. I could not have worded it better myself, so I appreciate you going into those details. Like I said, I have these two other comments, but they are spoilery to the manga. I really don't want to get into them yet, so we're just going to wait on that just a wee bit. But yeah, I'm so excited. It's so cold. I have this like little corgi sushi roll blanket that my friend got me for Christmas, all bundled up here, so I'm excited about that. But I've got some coffee that's warmed up. My dogs are at my feet. Maybe if they can sit on the blanket, they won't be enticed to distract me during the episode. But anyway, I'm super excited to start Trigun StarGaze episode 3 with y'all. Hey, they say the third episode's the one. We'll see how that goes for this series. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And I'll see you all on the other side. I am officially in love with the soundtrack, if nothing else. I mean, I love the show. I'm really liking StarGaze a lot. It's definitely taking some different avenues with the story, and I'm really here for it. We'll talk about it in the spoiler corner. But the soundtrack, I need to order the soundtrack. It is so good. I am a sucker for some squonking saxophone, and every track in this soundtrack so far has been so good. There was also like a big old puff of hair that went by me a second ago, but it's so good. I love it. So yeah, we need to talk about this episode. And I'm obviously reserving a lot for spoiler corner, but I want to go ahead and talk about some things here. We get started with this in 3, 2, 1. When I started the episode, I think that re-clicking the episode and restarting it, because it had kind of like time lapsed, missed this shot here. This is gorgeous. Just the shot of the entire. So this was back in the home section of the ship when Knives and Vash had their confrontation, and then that's when they kind of flew the coop, and Leonov, or Emilio, went with him. So I did like this of Leonov being this kid that ended up just following Knives because no one else would listen to him. And he wanted to boss these kids around, and they didn't want to play with him. And he's like, do as I say, and they just like were okay, what a weirdo. And they ran away from him. And then he witnessed everything that went down and him saying, I'm going to become king. The only thing that I thought was different was that his eye color was a little bit different in the adult form than it was the kid form. It was like a little crystal blue instead of like this kind of like purple blue. But that too could have been a product of puppetry or whatever, or the drugs and experimentation that all these people have undergone while being with Knives, all that jazz. But chains are still chains, but we're different. You and I have our own free will, and we will walk freely. This is power. So yeah, we basically see like teenage Knives as he kills everybody, and rightfully this kid Emilio freaks out for a short while, a mere century or so. I promise I'll build a world of plants. Yeah, that seems to be his goal right now, is to build this world of plants. That's what we're aiming for, right? So I thought this shot here where he saw Knives leave and then Knives just looked over at him, that's such a moment of him just looking. And I don't think Knives attacked him because he was a kid. I think that shot right there, deep down at its core, him just looking at Leonov and Emilio and letting him go, that in itself, that there was a look in Emilio's, aka Leonov, I'll probably call him both names, in his eyes that Knives probably connected with. So when he decides to follow the doctor and Knives, it's accepted. Here's the thing. If Knives is all against people and doesn't want anybody with him, blah, 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 then he would have killed that kid. He would have killed Emilio. He would have killed the doctor and gone off and done his own thing. But at the end of the day, Knives doesn't want to be used. He feels like humanity shackles the plants and uses them, and he doesn't want that to happen to him. He's been kind of traumatized by seeing that happen to other plants. But at the same time, he is kind of like Vash, that he wants connection with the humans. He just doesn't want to admit it. He's zeroed in that longing for connection and made it to where he just wants Vash. He's like, we'll get rid of all the other humans. It'll just be us and the plants. It'll just be us. He craves the connection just as much as Vash does. Vash has accepted that he's wanting the connection with the humans. Knives has not made that connection, nor does he want to. I'm glad we got the OP back to how it was. Good on it. OP looks great. Great job. Oh my God, the fact that it's Knives in that tank and the spine and everything is wrapped around. It feels very like Doc Ock from Spider-Man. I don't know if anybody else gets those vibes, but I do. So yeah, again, we're going to talk spoiler corner, but not right now. So yeah, of course, people are still coming up claiming that they've found Vash and they want the bounty. That hasn't changed from the manga. But I do like that we're checking out this ship. I think it's interesting that this ship is not from outer space. It's from the home unit that's on the planet itself. But it's kind of interesting that this one guy, he's just like, yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of these ships coming soon. I hope I can see them. And I'm like, this is on your planet now. You could go see more of this now if you wanted to. But I don't know if it was like a meta commentary about how, especially when people are isolated in different regions of the world and they don't believe they'll ever leave that region, that seeing stuff like that seems unusual to them feels far off. I don't know if that's a thing for them, but I thought that was an interesting commentary. Millie's just great. She's just happy to be here, taking these pictures. She's just doing a great job. Go, Millie. And in 6 months or so, I like this one guy's like, I probably won't be employed, but I'll probably lose my job at that point. I was like, what? Well, I guess he's saying when they come to get them, he'll lose his job because everybody's going to leave and get on the ship. That's what he's referring to. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was like, are you planning on being unemployed when they come to pick you up? But yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, I don't know. You frame it up that way, but with Knives being the state that he's in, I don't know if I'd go for that. I also like this junky satellite dish. It's great. So meanwhile, we have, I like that even though a lot of the technology in this series, especially StarGaze, is more modernized, there are little nods to like the late 80s, early 90s. Like with this, she has the like car phone that's attached to it that feels so 1986. I love it. Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be Vash. He left town with a girl. I wonder what she's trying to get a hold of, like what the deal is. She can't get a hold of people. It's like, so something happened in this home place. They both left for home. I wonder who she's been trying to reach and why she can't get a hold of them. Interesting. Whatever it is, Meryl was concerned about it in the moment, but now she's like, nope, we must be quick and brave. And then we see this with Wolfwood. We're going to come back and talk about this in the spoiler corner because I have some things to say about this, but I don't like the fact that he only has 3 of those. He's running low on his go-go juice. I don't like that. That seems, we conveniently are a fourth of the way through the season. Conveniently, we're 3 episodes in, a fourth of the way. You know, if you had to use one of those bottles by episode, 6, and another bottle by, episode 9, and then a fourth, and then your last bottle by, episode 12, the season finale, I can't imagine you running out. I'm going to save it for the spoiler corner, but conveniently you have 3 canisters left and we have 3/4 of the series left, conveniently starting to run low. I kept thinking in his mouth were one of those bottles every time I saw him, but no, he has the scraggliest messed up cigarette known to man. Like he's been chewing on the cigarette and not actually smoking it. I'm just like Wolfwood. I'm always thrown off by Wolfwood's StarGaze stampede look. Like he's wearing like loafers and looks like he's actually about to go work at a library. And instead, he's not so much, I feel like Wolfwood in the original 98 series and in the manga is more Western, and Wolfwood's a little bit more modern in his clothing, but it's okay. It's fine. But he got his wardrobe at Tabbitt's. So he's like, ladies, don't leave me behind. That was funny. I like the transition of the sun, like the midday sun to the sundown with the little, this felt very Star Wars with the Thomas and all this. It felt very Star Wars with the two of them sitting there. God, why? On the one hand, Vash's face looks so gaunt, like he needs to eat a couple sandwiches. And on the one hand, he's given a lot of Kurt Cobain here, and I want to like just cut that hair. But on the other hand, this tortured poet look that he's doing is really working. It works for him so well. Studio Orange, why you make him look so good? So yeah, so entering the ship that is uber quiet. Everybody's held up. We find out Brad says later they were all hiding in the shelter because the puppets were there. And I do love Vash's face here where he's like, hey, Brad said he'd hold out, right? That face is so gentle. It's so sweet and sincere. Just stop. Stop, Studio Orange. You need to stop making him look this good. I'm just going to oogle him. I'm just going to like oogle all day long. Yes, please. And the head pats to Jessica. And then the moment he gives the head pats to her, he senses something. I like that his demeanor changes in an instant. Like he's immediately putting like himself in front of her. Like everything about him goes from being gentle to being concerned, like in 2.5. But yeah, him sensing that there's some danger there. I like the surveillance being the way that he's being looked at, but the giant, massive pile of coffins, where they're not coffins, but the pile of the body, like, cases, the hyperbolic time chamber, the cryostasis, like, pods, like, all of them stacked up to make this big pile, like, coffins. It's so good. I am glad it was not actually knives at the top of the pile, but instead was one of the puppets posing as knives. Of course, you know, at the top, there's knives with her. He's like, let me thank you. Here's the thing. The dialogue, the way that it was said, it didn't seem at first like something Knives would say. So I was curious. He's like, you were able to help me take the trash out of July. Rejoice, brother. They're safe for now. Yeah, he would not have been safe for now. He would have killed them all. Yeah, and his little cocoon jacket. But yeah, I don't know. The fact that we also didn't see, his tentacles coming out with the knives should have been a hint as well that it wasn't actually Knives himself. But just quit making Vash look so tortured. Stop it. And then him saying that I am not Nye, I am Million Knives. That, the eyes there end up being the puppet was really good. But yeah, so Vash tried to like shoot the knife out of Knives' hands and then get her, and that's when he realizes that it's a puppet. The puppets are creepy. The puppets are creepy in the manga. They're creepy in here too. They have a very like, they just look very modern robot, modern AI robot. Give me some Five Nights at Freddy vibes. And figuring out that wasn't actually Knives is a choice. Yeah. So he's like, hold your breath, Jessica. And then they manage to get out. Yeah. Trying to figure out where Leonoff is. And the only way is through the surveillance cameras. I cannot get over how just scrawny Vash is. Our dude needs a sandwich. He's scrawny in the 98 anime, but he's so freaking tall and lanky. Here, the baggy clothes just accentuate just how lanky he is. I like the fact of Leonoff being a kid that went along with Knives and the doctor. It explains a lot more because he's like a kid that never grew up. It's kind of like a weird Peter Pan situation almost, where Leonoff, aka Emilio, he was like this kid that never grew up, and then he aged physically but was kept, you know, going by the technology surrounding Knives and the doctor. So clearly they've been using the formulaic stuff that's kept him alive, like Wolfwood, to keep him from totally aging out. But the fact that he like mentally never progressed past being that scared kid that wanted to control everything. And that just kind of regressed into his adulthood. I like it. I think it's a cool twist. We're going to talk about it again in the spoiler corner, but I really, really, really like it. So yeah, and then just Studio Orange does a good job with the gunfighting and Vash. That part was really well done. Loved all that. The part with Brad was kind of creepy for a hot second. We're going to save it for the spoiler corner. But yeah, so anyway, so as they're trying to figure things out, and he's like, oh, this royal treasure has made me a king. So Knives gave him the 2 spheres. Knives gave him 2 balls. Gave him his balls. For him to be able to control the puppets, which is a cool tech piece. And so Vash is like, okay, I've got to destroy the 2 balls. That's how I'm going to stop him. But these puppets keep getting in the way. Also, I'm sorry, but this creepy ass like spider made out of the puppets, I wanted to see more of that. That was, and the fact that he was controlling it with the strings, like making it work like a marionette, like that was cool. I wanted to see more of that. Like, I wanted to see the puppets come together. It felt like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas, where all the bugs kind of come together to form who he is, and he has like the sack over him that makes the body. I wanted more of that. I wanted to see this, like, to see these marionette puppets come together to create things. That would have been really cool. I get that we had this episode to work with, and we had a lot to do in this episode, so I just thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool concept. I liked it. And then, yeah, so then we got to this little control room area, and Jessica, I will say, my only critique of the episode, is that it was very easy for Jessica to get into the control room to be able to do the levers and everything. And you would think that Leonoff would know when she pushed the gravity up, she'd be able to do the opposite. My only critique is how easy it was for her to get to the control room and how quickly that worked out, which it's not a big critique. It's just something narrative-wise. I was like, I would have liked a little more challenge to get her to that security room, but that's fine. It's okay. And then he gets in there and we fight all the puppets. There's some really good shots. I like that shot. I hadn't noticed that in the episode where his eyes like looking back. Studio Orange is having a blast of having Vash like look back and his eyes peeking through the blonde hair. It's aesthetically pleasing. It works really, really well. But then, yeah, then we have the anti-gravity. I wanted some more of these shots here where when they do the gravity, I want to see more shots of him with his, I want to get to that screenshot. I want to see more shots of him with his hair showing like with it all done up like this. Like I wanted more of that because yeah, I wanted him to see like what his hair will look like when it's cut, except it's super long. You could see all the black roots. Interesting. But yeah, there was a good shot of Leonoff in there as well. Yeah, he looks very Super Saiyan there. Vash is going all Broly right in this moment. That was really good. But yeah, like the black roots, I want to see more of that, honestly. Yeah, and then I also really liked in this one shot, so Vash gets caught by all the wires like a spider's web. I like the idea of Leonoff walking on a tightrope made out of the puppet strings. That part was really cool. I love that. And he's like, wow, that was easy, and you knew it wasn't going to be this easy. Were the others who lost to you even trying? Well, let's not insult them. Yeah, you can see Vash, like the under part of his hair, the underside is black. And that stripe there, He looks, oh God, he looks so good. So I think it's important to note at this point that Leonoff has been estranged from Knives. He's not near him, so he's a little bit out of the way, and he's been sent to get Vash and take him back to Knives. So I think that's important to note that the conjuring of Knives earlier was Leonoff's interpretation, which is interesting based on his memory. Also, Vash just looks so freaking good. And so then, yeah, then we do the exact opposite. I liked the puppets, like, crashing into the ground. And then I liked that Vash, like, he sacrificed his arm so that he could shoot the shot and get where Leonoff wasn't going to control the puppets. I liked that. That worked out really good. This puppet show's over. And then, of course, Leonov says it's not over yet, and he's like, I'm taking you with me, and he throws the puppet that is clearly a bomb now. He throws it being a bomb, and bitch, I'm so glad that Wolfwood shows up. So glad that Wolfwood shows up. That was so good. I was waiting for him the entire episode. I was like, come on, Wolfwood, you gotta show up. You gotta show up. And then he's like, you're as soft as ever. Love it. Love it. And then I just, look, that hand cocked on his hip. That hand on his hip. You are intimidating nobody in them floodwaters, sir. Keep your guard up till the end. Shut up. I'm glad that Wolfwood instantly accepts Vash, and there's not any of this. I'm sure there will be later on because it's Wolfwood and Vash. But he's just like, come on, you got this. Keep your guard up till the end. And of course, Vash is like, Wolfwood. The voice actor for Vash makes him so soft and sweet and innocent that it just melts my heart, where he's like, oh, Wolfwood. Like, I wanted a damn hug. I know I'm asking for a lot in these anime. People are like, oh, you silly American, wanting people to hug all the time. Yes, I like characters hugging. Is that so wrong? Sue me. Not really. But it's so sweet. Also, I'm like, Vash is like, he's tall there, but he's a little hunched over. I'm like, is Wolfwood a little bit taller than Vash now? What is happening? I love this little thing to check and see if he's a puppet. That was super cute. Aw. He's like, I'm checking to see if you're a puppet or not. Aw. It's so adorable. He's like, what does that even mean? Look how happy he is. He's so happy to see Wolfwood. It's so precious. Aww. And shut up! That look, Hasoya! Just, that look is just slay me. Slay me right now. Just stop. I freaking love it. And meanwhile, he's like, I'm still here. Leonov's like, you guys can make out later. So, this stuff that he's got up his sleeve that he's like, Lord's knives made me a king. He's like, and to serve him. So he shoots himself with whatever the pink liquid is, and Wolfwood's like, okay, here we go. Let's get ready. And then as we get ready, he's gonna fire at him. And he's like, sorry about this, Leonov. And of course, Vash is like, we just got back together. Why are you killing people already? Vash is like, wait, Wolfwood, we just got to see each other, but why are you murdering folks already? And then I love that we just avoid the conflict by having Meryl and Millie land on him. We're not going to have Wolfwood kill anybody yet. No. I love it. And why can't Meryl give him a hug too? I swear. This was really cute. I want her to give him a hug too, but I'll take it. It was adorable. And then I like Millie's like, hi, I'm Millie Thompson. Nice to meet you. Heard a lot about you. I love Millie so much. I need Millie and Wolfwood interacting. Where are those interactions at? I need that. He's like, oh, I'm making all friends all over the place. Oh my God, they're adorable. I also like Meryl presenting her card to Vash. It felt very much like when she was the insurance salesman in the 98 version. It was super adorable, super cute. Yeah. And then Wolfwood's like, I like Wolfwood's like, oh my God, like can't go two steps without Vash making friends. But yeah, so that's syringe. So clearly Wolfwood knows Leonov, knows him. He's part of the Gung Ho gang, so knows him, knows about the syringe and the stuff that's been used on him. Interesting. So I'm assuming if it didn't power him up, the stuff in the syringe at least extended his life. And then Vash coming over here like Mr. Rogers, coming over here like Jesus, saying nobody paid attention to you. That's not true. Because he knew his name. It was Emilio. He's like, I knew who you were back then. He's like, Knives wasn't the only one that noticed you. I did too. That's the thing. Because Knives glanced at him. None of the other kids would give him a second glance, but Knives did, and that's why he followed him to begin with. But Vash is like, if you'd just talk to me instead. It's like, when you recover, let's sit down and talk. And that's when he says, Leonov the puppet master, or rather, Emilio. Okay, you can see his eye color there. Maybe it is the same color. Vash is just so sweet. Now it's going to be a question of who gets to cut his hair and shave his face. Is it going to be Wolfwood? Is it going to be Meryl? Is it going to be Millie? Is it going to be Louita? Who knows? Is it going to be Vash himself? Because he don't need nobody. Also, I was not planning on seeing a plant butt in this episode. Wasn't planning on seeing plant booty, but there we go. I'm curious that in this moment, Jessica, she said thanks to the plant. Or there was a thanks, and then Jessica shown the plant for a hot second like Meryl was. And we're not exactly sure what happened. In Meryl's case, it was a dead plant, like the remnants of it, but what do we get here? Interesting. So then we come back, and they're like, well, with the puppets everywhere, we couldn't get out of the shelter. And Wolfwood's like, yada, yada, yada. And then I just love that Jessica checks up on him. He's like, it was thanks to you I was able to protect the folks here at home. And then I like that Vash has this confrontation with Louita. She's like, okay. He's like, I couldn't stop knives. That's why July was wrecked. I'm still working on getting over all the stuff that's happened. And what I like about this is that Vash is able to kind of confess his sins, you know, that Hopper told him to do. He's like, there were so many people there. They did all these things for me. And he's like, and I love that he gives them all names. He's able to name them all. And then when he got to Roberto, I was like, oh damn, why you gotta be so sad about Roberto? I mean, I know it's you should be sad about Roberto, but damn it. The other thing I wish would have happened was I was expecting a little bit more of a reaction from Meryl when he said Roberto, because that was Meryl's companion. But I mean, he's like, and when he said maybe I should have died too, I'm like, oh my God, this is so sad. No. And he thinks that of what Hopper said, you live to suffer. And I like that Louita breaks up those negative thoughts. She's like, no, don't be thinking stupid stuff like that. She's like, you were doing the right thing. You know, the result's unfortunate, but you're not the only one responsible. And I love that they have this idea of conversation. Like, Vash was wanting to sit down and talk to Leonov. He's like, hey, let me sit down and talk to you. You know, like, let's talk about this, you know, since you were feeling unwanted. And Louita's like, tell me more about the people who passed away. Tell me more. That'll help you. Like, she'd been a full-on therapist here. I feel like a lot of the Gung Ho gang and a lot of Knives' followers are people who have been preyed upon because they have had things that are bad happen to them and they're easily able to be manipulated. Like Leonov had the want to be wanted and wanted to control things, and Knives gave him the tools to do that, but also preyed upon how weak he was in terms of being able to not be tempted by such things. So I like that Louita is like, hey, you know, you need to talk to somebody, talk to us, you know, don't just isolate yourself, you know, which is great. And then Meryl coming up and saying, you know, all this weight that you've been bearing, it's, you know, we want to help you carry it, even if it's just a little. You're not in this fight alone. That was so sweet. And poor Vash crying. I was like, damn it. I like Wolfwood's off in the background, like you gonna be tearful during all this. Poor Vash, let Vash cry. Wolfwood's little badger face in the background is really sad. Yeah, and everybody's like, oh, welcome back, Vash. Yeah, it's like the full-on, it's not Eric's anymore, it is Vash. Vash's compassionate heart and all of that. I feel like he's probably going to cut his hair in the next episode. Maybe. Are they going to talk about that black hair? They might, but that was really sweet. And him saying, I'm home. That just got me. Meanwhile, we cut to this floating Death Star looking ship that's in the OP. I like that we had the sun setting and the sun rising. We started off the episode with that, and now we're ending with it. It felt very bookending. And then Alindira, it says, I lost. He is here. So Leonov shared the message. And Alindira's like, oh, well. She's like, great news! We found your brother! She's so, like, this is a normal day. Everything's fine. She's like, look who we found! Your bro is here! Great news! Like, you're expecting to see Knives in this tank. And, yeah, no, it is full on, the time to awake is nigh. Nigh. Get it? Nigh. Knives. Got you there, right? That is terrifying. I was not expecting the brain and the eyeballs. How are we bringing knives back? What is that going to look like? What is that going to be like? That's crazy. And then the concept art we get, in the concept art here, let me find it, is we get a little bit of the paradise, a little bit of before. That looks like Jessica concept art. Interesting. Okay. Good, buddy. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about some spoiler cornery things, but I like this episode a lot. The soundtrack I'm in love with. I adore it. I cannot get enough of it. And I cannot wait. I'm excited now. We're a fourth of the way through the season, which is crazy to think that we're already there, but I'm enjoying it a lot. I really am. I feel like some people, if you would compare this to Maximum is gritty and bloody and grueling and torturous. I feel like this is definitely more family friendly than Maximum is, even though there's nothing really gratuitous in Maximum except it's just violent, very violent. But I feel like this is more like toned down for like all ages can watch StarGaze and Stampede and it's fine. Although there are a couple sexual tones in Stampede, but we'll see if this team does it. But I feel like it's very accessible. It's like this is the gateway drug into Trigun. If you want to start out with Stampede and StarGaze, then you can get into like maybe the 98 anime. The 98 anime, I don't feel like it's it's goofier and it's more like comical. It's like 90s comedy anime, but it's also gritty as well. So I feel like if you went from Stampede and StarGaze, you could transition to the 98 anime. And then if you're an adult, you could read Maximum and get a lot out of it. Or at least a teenager. I wouldn't tell a little kid to read Maximum. Maybe not. It gets a little spooky. But anyway, I like what StarGaze is doing so far, but we have some comments we need to talk about, and I want to talk about this episode. So with that being said, if you're not sticking around for the spoiler corner, then I appreciate you all watching this reaction and discussion. I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below, but I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm back real soon with more of Trigun StarGaze. So, as we get into spoiler corner, I've got a couple screenshots I want to show you, and I have a couple of comments that I want to talk about before we get back into the screenshots from the episode. So Bickery1 for episode 1 says, I'm excited to hear your reaction and analysis on StarGaze. Thank you. About the time shift at the beginning, I actually really liked how the episode opened. My take is that the Gung-Ho gang rescued Knives right after the July incident at the end of Stampede and used a healthy plant to revive him. Well, from this episode, he's maybe not been revived by the plants yet, but it said, which would be about 2.5 years ago. As he recovered, they likely needed a steady supply of plants, which lines up from the time that Meryl and Millie first heard about the plant robbery. That would be the case. I personally think they're collecting all the plants because here's the thing. I don't think Knives would let humans use the plants to revive him. I think they're reviving him using the human tech. However, I think the plants are going to be involved in all this. We just haven't fully seen it yet. They said, I think the giant robotic Gung-Ho gang member at the beginning is Gray the Nine Lives. I think you're right. He was in Stampede 2 working with the doctor and Alindira. That's probably him. Speaking of Alindira, I hope we see a grown-up version of her with the time skip. If she's part plant, maybe she ages. She's part plant, so maybe she ages fast too. She's not aged yet, but if she did age up to battle, like, because in Maximum, in this series, she fights both Livio and Wolfwood, which they have not even shown us Livio yet. So, but she fights Livio and Wolfwood in Maximum as an adult. So I wonder if they would age her up, kind of like a Nell situation, or a Nell from Bleach, or a Rini / Dark Lady from Sailor Moon sort of thing. I could see that, and like making her be an adult to fight them. That'd be awesome. Seeing an adult Alindira, with the briefcase. Yes, please. Please. Well, please do that. I don't know if they will or not, but that would be interesting. The fact that they haven't showed Livio, I'm curious if they're going to do a third series. If they try to rush all the things at once, I'll be a little disappointed with it. I mean, I still have Trigun. I'm going to watch it and enjoy it, but I'm hoping that they're pacing this out enough to have a third series, but they probably aren't. So I don't know. Or they're setting things up where we get the people from Earth coming by the end of this series, and we get Livio and stuff being set up, and they leave us on a cliffhanger for like the final whatever. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with that. It's too early to say what we're going to do with the plot yet, right? So then K. Gerd in G. Nudgra said, in regard to Lena, something that you might already know or not is that Stampede and StarGaze have different staff. Most importantly, the series director and series composition or lead writer are different. And it seems like the two teams ultimately had different ideas about portraying the story. Stampede ended with Vash and Eric's, without his robotic arm, being taken care of by Lena. So I think the StarGaze team, having their own ideas, decided to write Lena out of the story and create the Hopper and Jessica plotline. And I was like, wait, did that actually happen? So I was like, I need to go back and re-look at this. And yeah, so the scenery is, I'll show you all a screenshot. The scenery in episode 12 of Stampede, it is the same building with the piano. One major difference, there's the fireplace, there's a chair. One big difference is that there's not the picture frames on the side of the wall yet. But yeah, there is a character there that looks like Lena. We only see them for a second. It's that kid. And then there's Vash playing the piano, which, two things. One, I am totally fine if they wrote out Lena from the storyline. I know some people really like Lena as a character. She's just child character. Her and Jessica basically do the same thing. They have the same relationship with Vash in my mind. I know some people disagree with me, but I'm fine with them. Also, Lena there kind of looks like Meryl. So I'm like, I'm okay with Lena being written out of the story and them going with the Hopper and Jessica storyline instead. I like it a lot better. I'm fine with that. Also, two, Vash's haircut here, where it's the long bob hair, the Karen haircut. I'm just saying, the StarGaze team making his hair longer, y'all did good. Good job. Way to go. You did good there. I was like, oh, I don't like that, actually. It bothered me back in episode 12 of Stampede. I was like, his hair's not long enough. It's not long enough to be Eric's. They corrected that for StarGaze, so good for them. Good for them. So yeah, interesting. I like, let's get into the spoiler corner. I like the Leonoff as Emilio as the little kid that followed Knives. I don't think that was the plot in Maximum. In Maximum, Emilio was a younger man that was in the body of, that was using Leonoff as like a puppet himself. So Leonoff was a puppet as well, which was a thing that was proposed. So I you know what? I don't mind the idea that Leonoff was a name that we get for Emilio. I like the fact that he was a kid. I like the backstory here. In Maximum, a lot of the Gung Ho Gang members, a lot of the Gung Ho Gang members in Maximum are just kind of villains that have tragic backstories, but they're all just kind of flunkies of Knives and Legato. And that's basically it. I think Mid-Valley has I don't even think Mid-Valley has a lot more to his story, except him and Legato's relationship, which, God, I want them to explore that in this series. I really do. But I am happy that we're kind of connecting this. I like the idea of the king puppet. I like that Emilio wanted to control people, and then he ends up going with Knives and kind of like becomes this adult child that never fully matures emotionally and mentally. I like that. I think it works really good for his character. Because in Maximum with Emilio, he was just kind of like this antagonistic character that used Leonoff as a persona and the puppets, and it was creepy and it was very effective, but it also was kind of like, I wanted there to be more depth with his motivation, and here we kind of get that, which is nice. I like that a lot. I was trying to see if volume 2 here had Leonoff's storyline. I wanted to see if that was the case in here. I don't know if it is or not. We have a couple other chapters, but maybe we get a little bit with Leonoff. The one thing I do remember from Maximum, and I can't tell you if it is in these chapters or not. I don't know if it is. But one thing that was really creepy is the puppets. Oh, Hopper's in this one. Maybe it was in the first. Anyway, one thing that I thought was really creepy is I do think the puppets in Maximum are creepier. They just like in Maximum, the people fell apart and became the puppets, and it was really just like unsettling. Here it's fine. And also they tone it down a little bit because in Maximum people were killed and the puppets were replacing them. Here everybody was hiding out in a shelter and it wasn't as, you know, I feel like the stakes weren't as dire, but they were okay. They were still up there. I still feel like this floating like little flying alien saucer where Knives is at and the plants are all going to be up there. That's going to be similar to Maximum, I feel. Also, it says alone no longer. Ooh, if that's the tagline of the season, along with Live to Suffer, Alone No Longer. Ooh, the plant independence. I don't know. I don't know if we're getting into Kronos in this series or not. I don't know. But I liked Millie and Meryl in this episode. They were a lot of fun. I'm glad that Wolfwood and Meryl and Millie and Vash are all reunited. I'm glad that's the case. I don't know how to feel about these 3 containers being left. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm like, would they kill Wolfwood off in this series? Would they kill Wolfwood off in this series? He's got 3 left. I was like, is he going to use all 3 and then the season finale he's going to die? Is that going to be the case? They paint this season so far to be very like it's been kind of like I mean Vash shot Hopper last episode, so it's not been bloodless and it's not been tame. But in comparison to Maximum, it's been tame. But Maximum is like just an adrenaline rush and a half. But I was like, would they kill Wolfwood off? I'm glad that we've got Wolfwood back in the season in episode 3 because we need him and Vash to have more experiences. And I think it was a good thing that him killing Leonoff was stopped by Meryl and Millie because Vash had just gotten back to all of them. He had just gotten reacquainted. We didn't need to see him like go off on a traumatic turn again after all of that. It's going to happen, but we didn't need to immediately see it, right? So I don't know. I'm like, would this show kill off Wolfwood? I kind of like want a world where he doesn't die, but then it's so iconic and it's so like integral to the series that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if they would do it or not. How's he not going to run low? I feel like when he looked at Leonoff after he injected himself, Wolfwood might have realized very much that he too is just as addicted to the same stuff that Leonoff is, and maybe that's going to be something that's talked about in this series. I don't know. God, they made him look so good. He looks so good traumatized. Also, yeah, I did not anticipate seeing Knives back with Vash this soon, but I'm glad it was a puppet. I'm glad it was not real. I did not expect Knives to be, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. I did not expect Knives to be a damn brain and skeleton and spinal cord and eyes. That's crazy. I don't know what they're going to do with that. Oh my God. It's giving Tesla. It's just, it's so crazy and weird. And like, there's a body horror element to it. I don't know what to make of that. Like, crazy. If Vash saw his brother like that. Oh. And then Elendira was like, great news. Like, there's such a creepiness to that scene. I love it. This is where Trigun, Stampede, and StarGaze gets me, is that Maximum's not necessarily, I mean, Maximum has creepy moments. Don't get me wrong. It has scary, horrific moments in it. But it's more like just shock horror and action and stuff like that. Stampede and StarGaze, they get into some body horror, like creepy elements that are like unsettling. And that was an unsettling moment. I liked it a lot. And I'm sorry, Vash just saying I'm home and crying with all of them. Let this man cry. Get him a sandwich. Let him cry. I'm sure people would say that Vash is super soft in Stampede and StarGaze, but he's soft in Maximum. Vash is like miserable and crying like half the manga. So, I don't know. I'm glad he was able to talk to everyone. I feel like Vash has such a community with the humans, and Knives does not have that at all, that I wonder if Vash is going to try to get him that community by the end of it, because that's the thing. Like, what is Vash going to do to reach his brother? He does it differently in the 98 anime than he does in Maximum, so what are we going to do here? I don't know. But there is stuff being set up. Wolfwood seeing the drug, Millie taking photos of everything, the angel with the moment that she has with Jessica, that part was interesting. Wolfwood's got this moment with the vial and everything. Vash being this skinny needs to be stopped. We've got to get him some food. He's suffered too long. He's too scrawny. No. I'm sorry. Also, this shot that Wolfwood gives him is still just, no. They had Hosoya voice him for a reason. They're gonna make Wolfwood suffer. No, I keep waiting for Livio. Like, we haven't gotten to Livio. We haven't gotten into Mid Valley. We've not gotten into Legato. Lindira's just happy to be here. We've got so much we have left to do. I'm glad for the fan service. In Maximum, throughout the plot line with Leonoff and Emilio, it's kind of like this where Vash is fighting Leonoff at first and then Wolfwood gets involved. So that part didn't change necessarily. It just, Wolfwood got involved a little bit earlier, but I think it's fine the way they do that here. I'll be honest, in Maximum, the puppet plot line goes on really long. It's really long. I don't mind it, but when you kind of know that Knives is the end goal and Leonoff's not even really connected with Knives at this point, he's just trying to get Vash for Knives, it's like, it's not gonna work. So I will be honest, in Maximum, the puppeteer plotline, it's creepy. The beginning of it is haunting and really, really effective, but then it just becomes this all-out brawl that kind of drags out a little bit. That's just my opinion. So I'm okay with them getting through Leonoff in a plot in this episode. Towards the end, I thought maybe we'd make it a two-parter, but we only got 12 episodes to work with, so let's get the gang back together. Let's establish that Knives is not whole. Let's give the Leonoff plotline and then go from there. I could see some people being kind of like the whole nobody paid attention to me plotline with Leonoff. I could see some people thinking it's rather generic. And you're valid. You're valid to think that, because there's a part of me that thinks that too. But then in Maximum, a lot of the Gung Ho gang members, their backgrounds are kind of like not too fleshed out. So I'm glad. I like the kid take. I like the kid that Knives has influenced, that's kind of done this reverse Peter Pan sort of thing where he's grown up, but he's mentally still in that place of wanting attention and wanting control. And it's like a trauma response. Like, Vash is out here being a damn therapist. And needing a therapist too. So I thought this was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad the gang's back together. I'm glad Vash was able to cry. I'm curious to know where we're going to from here. And I know that I need to go and get the soundtrack. So anyway, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. We'll see where this takes us, but I'm really enjoying Trigun so far, and it's been a lot of fun. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm back real soon with more of Trigun StarGaze. And I'll see you then. Bye!